Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into the life of Christopher Reeve.
Mhm.
We all know him as Superman, obviously. But our mission today, looking at his Wikipedia entry mainly, is to explore the man beyond the cape. Because there's, a surprising amount there.
There really is. It's not just the acting. I mean, a 34-year career that's stage, screen, activism, directing, writing. It's pretty multifaceted.
Totally. And the awards kind of hint at that range, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. What immediately grabs you, I think, is just the sheer diversity there. And those accolades are serious.
Right.
We're talking a British Academy Film Award, BAFTA,
Yeah.
an Emmy, a Grammy for his spoken word,
A Grammy, yeah.
and a Screen Actors Guild Award. That kind of range, it suggests, well, adaptability, real commitment across different fields.
It really does. It wasn't just about being famous, it seems, more like mastering different things.
Exactly. Mastering the craft in different ways.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Born in New York City, 1952, but raised mostly in Princeton, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm. And the family background is surprisingly, well, rich.
Right.
Yeah.
Direct line back to William Bradford, the Mayflower Pilgrim.
Yeah.
Ties to French aristocracy.
Yeah, it's quite a lineage. Great-grandfather was CEO of Prudential Insurance, a grand-uncle connected to Jackie O.
It's quite the backdrop.
It definitely paints a picture. Established roots, notable connections.
But what's interesting is how he carved his own path, especially that early passion for acting. Kicked in when he was just 9.
Yeah, and it wasn't just a phase, it really stuck. Led to that apprenticeship at Williamstown Theater Festival when he was 15.
15. That's young for that kind of program. Shows real dedication early on.
It really does.
And even with acting taking off, education was clearly a big deal for him. He got into all these amazing universities, but chose Cornell. Seems like he wanted that academic base first.
Yeah, before diving headfirst into the career. He was active in the theater department there, too, doing some pretty heavy roles. Puzzo in Waiting for Godot, Hamlet.
Wow. You wonder if that broader education gave him, I don't know, a different kind of resilience.
That's a really good point. That discipline, maybe a broader understanding of the world, it probably fed into his acting.
For sure. And it wasn't like opportunities weren't already knocking. Stark Heseltine, the agent who found Robert Redford, he spotted Reeve early.
Right. But Heseltine actually told him to finish college first.
Amazing.
Yeah, they even planned out summer work, trips to New York for auditions. It shows a really mature approach, balancing ambition with the long game.
And he didn't slack off during those summers either.
No way.
Toured with Eleanor Parker, got a contract with the San Diego Shakespeare Festival, playing major roles.
Serious stuff.
Then, before junior year, he took off for 3 months, went to the UK, France, just soaked up the theater scene.
Yeah, he even helped actors at the Old Vic with their American accents. It shows that drive. He wasn't just waiting around.
Not at all. He was actively seeking experiences, learning, and fluent in French, too, so he could really immerse himself in Paris.
A real hunger for growth, definitely.
And get this. He persuaded Cornell to let his first year at Juilliard count as his senior year there.
Wow.
Got into Juilliard's advanced program. Only one other student selected that year.
Robin Williams.
And they became really close friends. Reeve was godfather to William's son. That friendship seems like such a huge part of his life.
It absolutely was. And you hear about John Houseman's advice at Juilliard, focus on classical theater unless something huge financially comes along.
Right, that tension between art and, well, paying the bills.
Always there.
There's that funny story, too, about him accidentally knocking over lights during a school play.
Yeah.
And getting applause.
Yeah, the magic of live theater.
And somehow he still graduated from Cornell. Double major. English and music theory. After his first year at Juilliard. That's impressive.
Seriously impressive academic and artistic grounding. So then he starts navigating the professional world.
Right. Early on, he did the soap opera Love of Life. Mostly to pay for Juilliard, it sounds like.
Yeah, but the schedule was tough. He ended up leaving Juilliard for a bit because of it.
But they gave him an honorary doctorate later.
Well, he did, yeah. Recognizing his contributions.
He also did a lot of off-Broadway regional stuff. Berchtesgaden, mentored by Barbara Loden.
That's a key influence. She taught him about subtlety, not playing things too obviously, advice he apparently kept with him.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And Berkeley Square at the Manhattan Theater Club. Those smaller venues are so important for actors starting out.
Totally. It's where you experiment, you take risks, hone the craft without that huge commercial pressure, and Loden's guidance, invaluable.
Then came Broadway, A Matter of Gravity with Katharine Hepburn.
The legend herself.
Yeah. And they got really close, surprisingly. despite the age gap. There were even rumors.
Mm-hmm. And she apparently saw his potential right away, predicted he'd be a huge star.
Playfully saying he'd support her in her old age. He later regretted not staying closer after the play moved.
That must have been incredible for a young actor, getting that kind of validation from Hepburn. Huge confidence boost.
Absolutely. And her predicting his stardom. Pretty sharp.
She knew talent.
His first movie role was small, but it was in Great Lady Down with Charlton Heston.
Right, this submarine movie.
And he kept doing plays, too, like My Life with William Hurt. So even before Superman, he was building this really diverse resume.
Exactly. Not putting all his eggs in one basket. Theater, TV, film. He was getting experience everywhere, which paid off.
And then,
Yeah.
Superman. His agent, Heseltine, kept pushing, even after they initially passed. But it was the casting director, Lynn Stallmaster.
Stallmaster's persistence, yeah. That finally got him the meeting with Richard Donner and Ilya Salkind, and the rest is history.
It really shows how casting can be kind of serendipitous sometimes. He wasn't a shoo-in, despite looking the part.
No, it took that belief from Stallmaster.
Yeah.
And Donner wanted that realism. Verisimilitude was his word. That must have clicked with Reeve.
Yeah, Reeve had a very specific vision for Superman and Clark Kent. Wanted to avoid old stereotypes.
Yeah.
Emphasize gentleness, vulnerability. And Clark Kent, he based him on Cary Grant in Bringing Up Baby.
Which is brilliant. That awkward charm, you instantly get it. And it's why his portrayal worked so well, that contemporary feel. Strength wasn't just muscles.
Right. It was kindness, humility, and the physical transformation was intense. 2 months training, putting on 30 pounds of muscle.
Serious work. He wasn't even a huge comic book fan, apparently.
No, but he understood that dual role needed a real stylistic difference. Otherwise, like he said, you just have a pair of glasses standing in for a character.
Great quote. Shows he really thought about it. It wasn't just a costume change.
And Tom Mankiewicz gave him that insight. You're always Superman. Clark is Superman playing Clark.
That's such a key distinction. Subtle, but huge. And Reeve clearly got it.
Totally. And the effects back then. Lots of practical stuff. His own skills as a glider pilot must have helped sell the flying.
Oh, absolutely. That physical element, combined with his piloting background, really made those flying scenes iconic. It wasn't just CGI.
Superman in '78 was huge. Critically, commercially, got him that BAFTA for Most Promising Newcomer.
And he saw it as a classical role on film, which says a lot about how seriously he took it.
It wasn't a one-off success either. Superman 2 came next, filmed back-to-back with the first.
Right, even with the director change from Donner to Lester. Reeve actually said 2 was his favorite of the series.
Interesting. And later they released the Donner cut, which shows people still really care about that version.
Definitely. But then came Superman the Third.
Yes. He wasn't thrilled with that one, was he? Felt it got too comedic.
Yeah, he was pretty open about his disappointment, but even so, his portrayal of the evil Superman in the junkyard scene, people loved that.
True. Shows his commitment, even when he didn't love the overall film.
Exactly. He still found depth in the character.
And then Superman the Fourth, The Quest for Peace. He only agreed to do it if he had some creative input, right?
Yeah.
The nuclear disarmament plot was his idea.
It was. Noble intentions, definitely.
Yeah.
But the film, well, it suffered low-budget production issues.
Yeah, it was a critical and commercial flop. He regretted how it turned out. His kids were even in a deleted scene, apparently.
Wow, small cameo. And there was talk of a Superman v, but it never happened. Rights issues, and then his accident.
A kind of poignant end to his time in the Cape, trying to use it for a social message.
Admirable, but yeah, the execution was hampered.
So moving into the 80s, beyond Superman, he was clearly trying not to get typecast.
Definitely. He sought out variety, somewhere in time with Jane Seymour.
His favorite film to shoot, he said. Became a cult classic eventually.
Yeah, despite mixed reviews at first. And he and Jane Seymour became really close. He was godfather to her son, Christopher.
Named after him. That shows a deep bond.
It really does. Those on-set connections can be powerful.
He even did the Muppet Show. Played piano for Miss Piggy. Hinted at being Superman. Must have been fun.
A nice change of pace for sure. But he kept returning to the stage too. Williamstown and Broadway and 5th of July.
Playing a disabled Vietnam vet. That got him a Tony nomination.
Right. He worked with an amputee to prepare. Really shows his range and commitment beyond the superhero stuff. That Tony nod is significant.
He really explored different genres. Death Trap, that twisty dark comedy. Monsignor playing a morally gray priest.
And fairy tale theater, playing Prince Charming and a cowardly prince.
Huh. Yeah, the variety in just those few years is striking. He was actively stretching himself.
Absolutely. Trying to show what else he could do.
Then The Aviator, where he actually flew the vintage plane
His
himself.
love of flying coming through.
And The Bostonians. Took a pay cut for that one because he believed in it. Got great reviews, praise from Hepburn again.
That says a lot. Prioritizing the art over the paycheck. And validation from Hepburn. Huge.
He even did London's West End, the Aspirin Papers with the Miss Redgrave. Seriously building those stage credentials internationally.
It really was a period of intense, serious work.
The mid-'80s were incredibly busy. Anna Karenina on TV learned to ride horses for that, which becomes significant later.
Tragically so. Yeah. His daughter Alexandra had her first role in that, too.
Hosted SNL. Back on Broadway in The Marriage of Figaro. Hosted a documentary about dinosaurs that won an Emmy.
An Emmy for visual effects, yeah. It's almost dizzying, the amount he's doing. DC Comics even named him one of the 50 who made DC great.
It shows an amazing work ethic, exploring all sorts of performance.
Totally. Then Street Smart, opposite Morgan Freeman. Great reviews for that.
Freeman got an Oscar nomination. But personally, things shifted then too. Separated from Guy Exton in '87.
Right. Amicably. Shared custody of Matthew and Alexandra.
Professionally, switching channels was tough. He felt it was kind of the end of his movie star phase.
But that same year, 1987, back at Williamstown, he met Dana Morosini.
His future wife.
Ah.
A huge turning point personally, even if professionally things felt uncertain.
Exactly. That juxtaposition. Challenges, but also new beginnings.
He really threw himself back into theater in the late '80s. Summer and Smoke, The Winter's Tale, Love Letters.
Clearly valued that live performance connection.
And he auditioned for Pretty Woman, but walked out because he felt the casting was unprofessional.
Wow. Shows his principles, his standards.
The '90s brought more variety, often darker stuff. The Rose and the Jackal playing Alan Pinkerton.
And then those villain roles in TV movies. Bump in the Night. Playing a child molester.
That was a bold choice. He said he felt it was important for parents to see.
Yeah, definitely pushed boundaries there. Showcased a very different side. He also did the comedy Noises Off, Mortal Sins, playing a priest.
Really trying to break that Superman mold.
Completely. His last time on stage was The Guardsman at Williamstown in '92, a place he clearly loved.
But film and TV continued. The Remains of the Day in '93. Critically acclaimed. His son said he was really proud of that one.
You can see why. A serious, nuanced film. Fits with his desire for dramatic depth.
The Seawolf with Charles Bronson. The miniseries Black Fox, showing off those writing skills again.
Yeah. And critics were starting to notice his versatility more. Good reviews for Morning Glory, Speechless.
He narrated Bernstein's Allegro in concert in '94. Poignantly, his last stage appearance.
And his final movie released theatrically was Village of the Damned in '95. A horror remake.
It really felt like he was hitting a stride, getting recognized for his range just before.
Yeah, just before the accident. That HBO movie, Above Suspicion, where he played a paralyzed cop.
Eerily timed. Premiered just days before his fall. He'd even researched paraplegia for it.
So ironic. And tragic. He was still doing guest spots too. Tales from the Crypt, Frasier.
That Tales from the Crypt episode is considered one of the best. But then the accident canceled projects he had lined up.
A lead role, his directing debut. Life changed in an instant.
After the accident, though, his career took this incredible new direction. Narrating that HBO doc Without Pity, a film about abilities, won an Emmy for it.
Using his voice in a new, powerful way. And directing. In the Gloaming for HBO in '97. Great reviews, Emmy nominations.
Found a real talent behind the camera. And he used his clout, too, getting ABC to air that fundraiser, a celebration of hope.
Right, for spinal cord research. Also Emmy nominated. It shows incredible resilience, finding new ways to contribute.
His book, Still Me, in '98. A huge bestseller. And he won a Grammy for the audiobook.
Yeah, his voice, his story, really connected with people. Powerful stuff.
And he starred in the Rear Window remake. Executive produced it too. Got a Golden Globe nomination, won a Screen Actors Guild Award.
Amazing. A physically demanding role, post-injury, showed his enduring screen presence. Truly remarkable achievements after everything.
Into the 2000s, he kept connecting. Guest spots on Sesame Street.
Yeah, reaching kids too.
Wrote another bestseller, Nothing is Impossible. Another Grammy nomination for that audiobook.
Became such an inspirational author and speaker. His son Matthew even made that documentary about his recovery, Hope in Motion.
Yeah, very personal look. His final acting role, Dr. Virgil Swang on Smallville.
Bringing it full circle, back to the Superman world, fans loved it. They even used music cues from the movies.
So fitting. And he directed again the Brooke Ellison story for A&E. True story of a quadriplegic Harvard grad.
Championing stories of resilience. Makes perfect sense. He was also directing an animated film, Everyone's Hero, when he passed away. His wife Dana and son Will were involved too.
Shows that passion for film never left him.
Not at all.
It's also fascinating to think about the roles he didn't take.
Oh yeah, he turned down a lot.
After Superman, he avoided those generic action roles he thought were badly written. American Gigolo, Lethal Weapon.
Didn't want to be just an action star.
Passed on the World, according to Garp, Splash, Fatal Attraction. Even The Bounty early on felt miscast.
Had a strong sense of what was right for him.
In the 90s, turned down leads in Picket Fences, Chicago Hope. Didn't want to move to L.A.
Prioritized his life, where he wanted to be.
And after the accident, turned down Mason Verger in Hannibal. So the character was too disturbing.
Understandable. These choices really show his integrity, his artistic compass. It wasn't just about fame or money.
Definitely. Switching gears to his personal life. That 10-year relationship with Gay Exton.
Right. 2 kids, Matthew and Alexandra. They separated amicably in '87, shared custody. Both kids have done well.
Then he met Dana Morosini in '87, married her in '92.
They lived together a while first, had their son Will in '92.
And that marriage, especially after the accident, became such a symbol of love and commitment. They were together until he died.
A truly powerful partnership, facing immense adversity together.
Beyond acting, he had these other huge passions. Aviation.
He was a serious pilot, licensed, multiple ratings, owned planes, flew solo across the Atlantic twice.
Twice. Amazing. And flew for the Environmental Air Force. Used his skills for causes he believed in. Took Robin Williams flying, too.
Great story. And sailing. He was an avid sailor. Owned boats, lived on one while filming The Bostonians.
Sailed the Caribbean, New England. Embraced life, adventure.
Definitely reveals a man with a thirst for experience beyond Hollywood.
And then, equestrianism.
Which ultimately led to the accident.
Yeah. He started riding in '85 for Anna Karenina, got really into it, competed, owned his horse, Buck. The accident itself, May '95. A routine jump, the horse refused. The fall.
Yeah.
Shattered his C1 and C2 vertebrae.
The very top of the spine. Paralysis from the neck down. Stopped breathing immediately. Just devastating. Shows how fragile life is.
His hospitalization. Long, difficult, conscious after 5 days. Faced that reality.
Initial despair, understandably. Thinking of letting go. But Dana's response. You're still you. And I love you.
So powerful. That and his kids gave him the will to fight.
And Robin Williams visiting, dressed as a doctor, making him laugh.
A moment of light in the darkness. He got so much public support, too. Over 400,000 letters.
Incredible outpouring. The surgery itself was complex. Stabilizing the neck, bone graft, titanium pin, wiring to the skull. Left him with that slight head tilt.
Rehabilitation at Kessler took 6 months. Learning to use the sip and puff wheelchair. Gradually accepting things. Connected with the disability community.
And slowly regaining some independent breathing. Huge milestone. Intense physical therapy, always hoping for future cures.
And remarkably, years later, around 2000, he started getting some movement back, some sensation. Doctors were amazed, credited his effort.
Defied expectations. Shows that potential for recovery and his sheer determination.
Then in 2003, that experimental diaphragm pacing device helped him breathe more normally, regain smell, speech improved.
Yeah.
He could even appear publicly without the ventilator sometimes.
Embracing cutting-edge tech. Always proactive about his health and quality of life. Truly inspiring progress.
He came home in December '95. Required constant care, obviously. But he kept this incredibly busy schedule.
Astonishing, really. Activism, film work, writing, speaking, being a dad.
He said he drew on that self-discipline from his theater days.
You can see that. He refused to be defined by the chair. He embraced life, channeled his energy into new, meaningful work, a testament to his spirit.
His religious views were interesting, not strongly affiliated most of his life. Briefly checked out Scientology, but was critical later.
Right. He called marrying Dana his first act of faith. Didn't find prayer helpful after the accident, personally.
But he and Dana started going to Unitarian services later. Found spirituality in daily life, considering others. Seems more humanistic.
Yeah, a thoughtful, personal journey. Big life events often make you reevaluate those things. Unitarianism's focus on compassion seems like it resonated.
He was always engaged politically, even back in college. RFK campaign, Cambodia protest.
Used his fame for good causes early on. Make-A-Wish, Save the Children. Critical of Reagan, supported environmental causes, flew for the Environmental Air Force.
Elected to the Actors Equity Council. Big human rights activists, especially in Chile against Pinochet, got their highest honor for it.
Wow. Opposed Trump's developments back in the 80s. Championed artistic freedom. Co-led the Creative Coalition.
Declined running for Congress. Felt he could do more outside politics. Used his Oscar speech in '96 to push for films on social issues. His commitment was deep, long before the accident amplified it.
Absolutely. Shows a lifelong dedication to civic engagement, using his platform strategically. A great example.
After the accident, disability activism became his central focus. Inspired by people he met at Kessler.
Right. Became a leading voice. Speeches, Paralympics host, spoke at the DNC, brought huge attention to spinal cord injury research, quality of life issues.
Chaired the American Paralysis Association, vice chair of National Organization on Disability. Co-founded the Reeve Research Center.
Merged foundations to create the Christopher Reeve Foundation. Funded millions in research, quality of life grants. Still does.
Started the acting scholarship, now the Christopher Reeve Award. Lobbied hard for legislation, tried for better insurance caps.
Didn't win that one, but helped pass the Work Incentives Improvement Act.
Huge advocate for federal funding for embryonic stem cell research. Got an award for that. Supported the cloning ban only if it allowed therapeutic cloning research.
Nuanced position. Urged support for California's Prop 71 for stem cell funding just before he died. It passed.
Visited Israel to see their research. Won the Lasker Public Service Award in 2003. Experts agree. His activism transformed funding and awareness.
Truly transformative. He turned personal tragedy into this powerful force for change. Gave hope to so many. A remarkable second act.
He did face a lot of health issues, though. Asthma, allergies as a kid, malaria post-accident. That rare condition, mastocytosis.
Right, caused severe allergic reactions, a near-death one during rehab, alopecia too.
And frequent hospital stays after the injury. Dysreflexia, pneumonia, collapsed lung, blood clots, that severe pressure ulcer, broken arm.
Nearly lost his leg to infection at one point.
Yeah.
Health challenges were immense.
In his final days, October 2004, he was being treated for another infected pressure ulcer. Last public appearance, October 4th, saw his son Will's hockey game, October 9th.
Then passed away October 10th. Cardiac arrest after an antibiotic, likely an adverse reaction. He was only 52.
So sudden. After fighting so hard for so long, he was cremated, memorial services held.
The sheer number of health struggles just highlights his resilience, but also the body's fragility with complex conditions. His death feels particularly poignant.
His legacy is just immense, though. Still felt today. Dana chaired the foundation bravely until she passed from lung cancer in 2006.
So tragic. But all 3 kids are on the board now, carrying on the work.
The Society for Neuroscience named a symposium for him. Awards, scholarships everywhere. That sportsmanship award at his old school, Cornell plaque, Williamstown Fund for Artists with Disabilities.
Princeton Public Library collection, federal legislation, the Christopher and Dana Reeve Paralysis Act in 2009, his portraits in the National Portrait Gallery.
Google Doodle for his birthday. Recent documentaries, Superman and the French one. The Empire State Building lit up for him.
The foundation remains a huge force. The legacy isn't just Superman, it's the research, the advocacy, the hope he inspired. It's profound and lasting.
So, wrapping up our deep dive on Christopher Reeve, what a life. Truly remarkable. From acting, that diverse career before the accident, to becoming this powerful activist afterward.
Incredible inspiration, resilience. He gave us Superman, yes, but then he became a real-life hero in a totally different way.
What really stands out, I think, is how one person managed to achieve so much, leave such a mark in so many different areas.
Exactly. Global fame as an actor, then transforms into this advocate who genuinely shifted the needle on medical research and public perception.
Makes you think, doesn't it? About the potential impact anyone can have no matter what life throws at you.
It really does. A powerful thought to end on.
Absolutely. If you want to learn more or support the work, check out the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation, or maybe revisit some of his films or read his books. He was truly extraordinary. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.